I just want to talk about chapter 1043 and what it has led me to believe about Kaido. So, first off, regarding Kaido's backstory, we still have not gotten it, and I thought this was strange, right? Especially coming into what happened last chapter. Like, in my head, in a scenario where Kaido was gonna get the W, we were gonna get more information about Kaido first, right? Like a backstory, and then he takes the W, and then Luffy would eventually come back and do what he would have to do. That made sense to me. So it was odd to me that he didn't have his backstory, and I was like, damn, this is weird. But somehow, somewhere, we still been getting fragments where it's like everybody kind of thinks they know what his backstory is. And now after this last chapter, I feel like we kind of, in a sense, got that, not even that final piece, but a major piece in this puzzle where it makes more and more sense to me, right? So, with Kaido, now I think he's been an amazing villain, one of my favorite villains all time already, right? I've loved like every chapter. This guy has dropping bars on bars on bars. His dialogue has been amazing, right? But one thing that has kind of always been strange to me, and it kind of has to do with the backstory, I guess, but in his introduction, though his introduction is amazing, certified, right? It felt odd to me. Like, he's been captured a good amount of times. It looks like he has a few defeats, you know what I mean? Obviously, it's the one-on-one bet on Kaido, but I'm like, this is odd, right? This is odd that he's been captured. Like, if you're that strong, how's this really happening? But we all assume, like, oh, it's in his younger days, it's that, it's, you know what I mean? And, like, fair. But it still felt weird. But at the end of the day, I generalized in my head, I was like, oh, but it's to build this image of a beast. And, like, you know, it builds off the character very well. Yeah, but now, after this last chapter, I feel like we just got, like I just said, we got the final piece. So, with Kaido, we know that he has had information about Joy Boy. Now, whether that's coming from King or from himself, right? We know he's had information about Joy Boy from the beginning, and we know that he's been seeking death. Now, we've all assumed that it's because of he's seen the great deaths of Roger and Whitebeard and Odin, and he's like, that's what he wants, right? But now, what I really think it is, after this last chapter and what we see, what it took for Luffy to become Joy Boy, if that's what, like, you know what I mean? We still gotta see exactly what's gonna happen, but it looks more and more like Kaido was trying to die so he could become Joy Boy. And his depression, right? Because that's a big thing from his introduction too. It seems like his depression comes from the fact that he knows he can't be Joy Boy because he can't die. He's become too strong. He can't die. So all these captures, all these defeats, all that, this is him trying to die, right? Which I think a lot of us assume too, but it was like, but why would he, right? Like, what we always assume, like, what led to him getting to that point where he wants to die. But I think he's wanted to die, right? Like, he's like, oh, he's depressed and that's why he wants to die. But I think it's he can't die and that's why he's depressed, because he can't become Joy Boy. That's the biggest thing, right? Do I think it has to do with also him looking at Zebek and seeing how Zebek was not remembered in history? Of course. But now I think that it's him seeing Zebek was not remembered. How do I assure I'm remembered? Right? You can say Joy Boy like they tried to erase him, but Kaido knows about him. This is 800 years ago. Kaido knows about him. Bro. Luffy and them know about him, you know what I'm saying? The fishermen know about him. The world government's trying to erase him, but unlike Zebek, those Zebek submarines know. We assume Blackbeard knows, right? But Joy Boy, the people know. The people know. You know what I'm saying? So it's possible that he heard about this and he's like, whoa, if I become Joy Boy, then I can never be forgotten, right? Especially if he's the modern day and he would be the one who brings a change to the world. He can't be forgotten. So I feel like that's kind of the lane he was going in. And taking that he's always said the land of one was very important. It's possible that he kind of knows, which we already assumed, that he kind of knows what's supposed to happen or some bits and pieces. And so he knows, like, if I'm here at least in this time period, I'm gonna have to do something with it, right? So he's like, there's still a small part of him that wants to be Joy Boy, or it's him be like, okay, well, if I can't be Joy Boy, I gotta, like, be remembered in the story of Joy Boy, you know? Because even take in, every time Luffy's going down, he's taking in, like, the eyes in him, like, bro, like, his eyes haven't been extinguished, all this. And even after, when he defeated him on top of the roof, right? I guess it'd be the third time, second time maybe, depending how you want to go. It's like if you think Luffy's been defeated 4 times or 3 times, because 1010 he was kind of defeated, if we're being honest, right? Like the one where he threw Luffy off, right? The one where he says you couldn't become Joy Boy either. He seems disappointed, and it seems weird that he would say this in a situation where he feels like Luffy is dead right now, right? Or on the verge of death, like he thinks Luffy's about to die. And he's like, oh, you couldn't become Joy Boy either. It seems like he knew the ritual for what it takes to become Joy Boy. And he's like, oh, even you, who seemed close, or you couldn't become it, right? But he was wrong. He was wrong. So I think Kaido this whole time, like, we've assumed in a sense that he's wanting to become Joy Boy. He knows about Joy Boy, right? Because even with the when he was talking to King back when King, you know, he's like, oh, you still think I'm gonna become Joy Boy, laughing about it. But I think he really was trying to become a Joy Boy, man. I really do. And I think that's why he's depressed, bro. Because he can't die. He can't die, and so he can't become Joy Boy. And I think a part of it too was just realizing, like I do think he wants to go out in a great way, and I think that plays into it. But I feel like he's also jealous of Whitebeard, of Roger, of Odin, because not only were they able to die, which he can't do, but they were able to die in a great way. Like, I feel like his biggest fear is going out in a sad way. But then it grew to him, like, because of that, he probably tried to become very strong, so he couldn't, like, go out in a sad way, you know what I mean? He wanted to choose his own death. But now he just can't die. Like, he's too strong. He's unable to die. And so he can never become Joy Boy. But hey, that's me speculating. Bro, that was an amazing chapter. Played it into, like, this theory. Like, I just was sitting on my bed. I read it. I was like, wow. And then it just clicked in my head, and I just had to get that out there, man. I hope you guys enjoyed, man. What a great chapter, man. Like, you can tell it's amazing by the fact that I have a steering wheel in front of me. And I still was like, yo, I need to film this, bro. Amazing chapter. Oda, Goda, you know what I'm saying? Wow. Well, I'm really excited for Kaido's backstory, but he's definitely a villain who's been making more and more sense every week without even getting to it. So once we get to that back, top five. Take care, guys.